Welcome back, everyone. This is Weird William, and today I'd like to talk about how the traditional kind of trading hall in Minecraft is totally broken now in 1.14. And you may have seen my super cool trading hall video version 2, where I had a really nice setup for a trading hall, and it's my most popular video on YouTube. But in the last week or two, I've had a lot of comments in the comment section about, this is working great, but my villagers aren't unlocking their trades anymore, and what's going on? Help. And I didn't know what was going on either until I really did some experimentation, and it turns out that as of pre-release 1 in 1.14.1 all the way up to now the pre-release 2 for 1.14.2, the villagers now seem to be able to randomly occasionally unbond from their workstations, and this happens when they're in any kind of small cell, and they can have a hard time picking it back up, especially in certain circumstances. And so I'm going to talk about how this happens, maybe why it happens, and how you can greatly reduce the risk of it happening, although it doesn't seem entirely preventable. And then if it does happen, how to hopefully fairly easily reverse it. So let's talk about that. I have a little trading hall mock-up here, and I have some buttons that have different important times of day for villagers. There's sunrise when they get up, their work times, when they stop their work time, and then nighttime when they go back to bed. And so in the clips I'm going to show you, I find this issue happening when I'm just cycling through the day, and I do it many times, and eventually it just happens. It can be, within 2 days, it can be within 15 days or so, but it just happens. So let's take a look at this issue. So here I am with a 2x1 cell for a villager, and I'm just cycling through the night times, the day times. And so you'll see I'll get right here to 2000 when a villager will go to its workstation, and boom, they switch out. The villager who was a novice is now unemployed, and the villager that was just wandering around outside the trading hall with pathfinding to that workstation as well has now picked up that workstation instead. If I go and kill this villager, you would think, well, okay, that villager in the cell will then just pick the workstation up again, but that doesn't always happen right away, and in fact, there can be issues that I think are the underlying problem here. You see them after you kill that villager, and so here you go, you see this kind of flickering of that librarian profession, so it's just flickering in and out. And so I see this issue also where I have a 1x2 space going another direction, where I have a 3-block space. It's kind of in an L shape, and even in a 2x2 space. At this point, let me just sum up what I've found and what my tips are for you going forward. I've submitted a bug report for this issue, but as of a few days ago, no one has addressed it yet, so I don't know if this will be how things are in the stable 1.14.2 release. That seems really good otherwise. Maybe they'll just keep it this way for a while. So here, these white quartz blocks represent the kind of footprint of the holding cell that the villager has next to their workstation in a trading hall. And so I've found this unbonding issue happen in 1x1 cells, 2x1 cells of two different configurations, in these kind of 3-block L shapes, and then even in 2x2 spaces for the villager, although it's much less common according just to my own kind of subjective testing. It seems to happen much less frequently in a 2x2 space. And then in terms of picking up the workstation once they've lost their bond, of rebonding to it, that is impossible in a 1x1 space because the villager feels trapped enough in this space that they don't try to pathfind to a new workstation, and so they will never pick up that bond again. And so when this happens with a villager that is higher than the novice rank, there's no visual cue that they've lost their bond. You'll just see them not refreshing their trades, and they won't be able to bond to this workstation again just sitting here if they've unbonded. Even if you kill some other villager, or if they just do it spontaneously without any villager, they won't be able to rebond. In the 2x1 spaces, they still have weird issues rebonding. It seems like they do eventually, but it's kind of finicky and strange, and the timing is kind of suspect to me. In the 3-tile ones, again, picking it up again, it seems kind of so-so. And in the 2x2 space, it seemed like they picked it up again pretty readily, that bond, if they had lost the bond. And so really what I have at this point are 4 main pieces of advice if you're trying to build a trading hall in anything from the 1.14.1 pre-releases on up. And that's to first use at least a 2x2 space for the villagers in their cells. That seems to be the best bet in terms of them losing their bond the least and then regaining it most quickly. I guess you could use a bigger space. I don't know if it would make a big difference. Two, don't let incoming villagers that you're adding to your trading hall have an open pathfinding path to any of those workstations that other villagers there already have. Because if you have a villager coming in on a minecart and you can see all those workstations and one of the other villagers loses their bond right at that moment, then that villager coming in can pick it up, bond to that workstation, and if you've got 20 librarians there, you're not sure which lectern he picked up. It might be any of those guys, so it's going to be a hassle that way. 3, rank up any villagers that are novices with good novice trades immediately to apprentice. That way, if they do spontaneously unbond from their workstation, they won't go back to unemployed again. Because when that happens, when you then give them the profession again, their trades are totally re-randomized. And so if you'd had a really awesome mending or silk touch trade, for example, in a librarian, they'll have a totally new trade and you will have lost that. 4, break and replace workstations for locked villagers. I think this should work. If you do get a villager who has locked out his trades and doesn't seem to be unlocking because he's unbonded with his workstation, if you break it and replace it in exactly the same spot as it was before, they should be able to rebond to it, except in the case of the 1x1 cell. They will not be able to detect that workstation again. But any of the other ones, it should work, especially the 2x2 again. So I think that should help to fix it. I'm going to be looking at other potential solutions if they do go forward with villagers how they are. And I'll try to come up with a good trading hall design that at least minimizes this, if not prevents it. But again, that's a moving target, so just keep in mind, you can check my channel back for updates in that regard. Thanks for watching, and I hope this gets better for all of us. Feel free to leave any comments or questions in the comments section, and goodbye.